Hi guys, Ali Taylor down here at Heron's Reach, and today I'm going to show you the differences between the driver swing and the iron swing. So many golfers say that you need to swing exactly the same with every club in the bag. But what I'm going to show you in today's video is quite a subtle change with how you swing driver compared to how you swing your irons, but something that will make a huge difference to your ability to hit the ball nice and straight with both clubs. Now, most golfers will find that when they drive the ball well, they generally struggle with shots on the floor, or they're great off the floor, but they just can't get drives in play. And by the end of today's video, you're fully going to understand why you have those days, but most importantly, what you need to do to put it all together and have a great driver swing and a great iron swing. So before we get over to the full content of today's video, the first thing I want to do is welcome you down to my channel if you're new. If you're a returning viewer, I want to say, as ever, thank you for coming back. Now, if you are new, or if you're a returning viewer who hasn't seen it yet, I'm actually still in the process of giving away a Cobra Speed Zone driver. So I'm going to put the link up in the corner. All you need to do is watch the video and then follow the rules at the end, and you could be in with a chance to win Bryson DeChambeau's driver that he's used in 2020 that he used to win the US Open. But for now, let's get on with what is the difference between driver swing and iron swing. So what makes the golf swing so frustrating for some golfers is they'll have days where they go out and they feel that their iron shots are really, really accurate and they can stand over the golf ball, almost have it on a string, lovely and straight, good strike. And we all love those days, don't we? But unfortunately, those days usually coincide when you can't get driver in play at all. And particularly the golfer who hits irons like that, what they'll tend to find with driver is they've got pulls, slices, and if they could just get driver in play, that would be absolutely amazing to go along with that iron game. Now, you could, on the other end of the scale, be one of those golfers who feels like, despite what everyone says, driver's the easiest club in the bag. You feel that you can stand up there, almost take dead aim, and again, aim down the middle of the fairway, and there it is. Absolutely in play, even though it wasn't the perfect strike, but you know you can stand on the tee and you don't know what all the fuss is about. But how many of those days do you manage to put driver and iron game together? Very, very rarely. And even when you look at the top players in the world, a lot of the time commentators will say, he's a great driver of the golf ball, maybe his iron game's okay, or he's an amazing iron player, but maybe isn't as good off the tee as he could be. So what I'm going to help you understand is what is the big difference, and there's one massive difference between when the golf ball's on the floor and when the ball's up in the air that we need to try and get you doing better if you're going to make your iron swing work great and maybe have a slightly different movement with driver, but like I said, help you understand why you need that different movement. So to help you understand that, the first thing we need to do is understand the golf swing in its simplest form. So in its simplest form, the golf swing is a circle around your body, obviously a little bit bigger than this. And then as you stand to the side of the golf ball, that circle is on an angle. So when that circle is to the golf ball, we know that the lowest point of the circle gets down near the ground. So a lot of golfers are very aware of where the club face points and the swing path. Now the swing path that the club moves on is the direction the club is moving at impact with the golf ball. But I'm going to talk about something called swing direction, which is actually the direction the golf swing moves at its lowest point. So what you need to understand is if the lowest point of your golf swing was directly underneath your golf ball, the swing direction and the club path would be identical. But here's the challenge. So hopefully you're aware of this, and if you're not aware now, you will be very shortly, that when the golf ball's on the floor, we're looking to get our lowest point of our golf swing ahead of the golf ball. So again, if I put that in, if the low point was directly under the golf ball, the club will be traveling down to the golf ball, and if the swing direction was straight, the path the club travels inside to get to the golf ball would move straight at the ball and then would move back on the inside. So as soon as that low point moves ahead of the golf ball, if the swing direction is still straight, the club will naturally be coming from the inside. With driver, we're looking to get the low point behind the golf ball. So again, if the swing direction was straight, the club would be traveling straight, 3-4 inches behind, and then would be moving left or out to win. So you can actually see if you had the same swing direction with irons, but on an iron you had your low point 3 or 4 inches ahead, the club would actually be moving much more from the inside. And with a driver, if you were 3 or 4 inches behind, with a straight swing direction, the path will be going out to win. So this is why golfers feel like they make the same swing, and yet they might be hitting a draw with the irons, but maybe hitting a fade with driver. So hopefully that's starting to make sense. So what we're going to do is those 2 shots I hit to begin with, I'm going to show you the swing direction of how I delivered the club with the low point, and then I'm going to show you how you're going to change your swing relative to driver and irons to get you hitting laser straight shots with every club in the bag. Okay, so the 7-iron I hit there, you could see it was a lovely straight shot. So my swing direction was 3.3 degrees left. Okay, so in theory, my club was moving out to win. But because the low point was 5 inches ahead, like I said, the club's traveling from the inside to get to the low point. My path was actually 0.3 degrees with the 7-iron. So it was dead straight, the path, but I definitely felt like I swung more to the left. Now then, with driver, my swing direction was still slightly left. It was almost straight at only 1 degree left. But my low point was 4.1 inches behind the golf ball, and therefore my path was actually 4.2 degrees out to win. So to be fair, the little toe strike just helped me on shape, but you can see it was slightly different swings, but very, very different club paths. Okay, so when you're shaping the golf ball, obviously where the ball sets off is very influenced by where the club face points, and then what the path is doing relative to that face is the amount of shape. So in an ideal world, most golfers would love to hit the ball dead straight. So what we would want is a nice square club face with a very straight swing path. Now, hopefully, you're following along, because I know this is a little bit technical. If you want to deliver a straight path with your irons, you can't try and swing straight. You need to swing a little bit left. And then as that low point's ahead of the golf ball, that'll look after the path. The challenge is with driver, we need to try and swing, if we're going to get the low point behind the ball, much more to the right. And that way, by the time the club travels up to the golf ball, it'll be going straight. So you can see there's a fundamental difference in how you're going to deliver driver compared to irons, fairway woods when they're on the floor. Now, what I would say is a lot of golfers make this work because they actually swing driver the same as they swing irons. They get the low point after the golf ball and they have some good control. But you'll know if the club's traveling down, you're just robbing yourself of some distance. And we don't want that, do we? We want to hit long, straight drives so we can take advantage and hit shorter irons into the green. So let's go iron first of all. Now, as a general rule for me, and I have worked on this over the last few years, I've always swung quite a lot to the right. So I've always found driver's been pretty good for me, and I think that would make sense. My club travels up, so I get a decent path. Where I've struggled with irons is because I've been from the inside, if I got my low point too far forward, I just hit big blocks and hooks. So if anything, I get a little bit picky with the irons. So I'm going to really feel on this one like I try and swing a lot more left than I would normally, and that should give me a nice neutral path. Sounded easy? Let's see if I can do it. Felt pretty good. The golf ball's going quite decently. And we could see there my swing direction, almost 6 degrees left, my low point nice and forward, and a fairly straight club path. And to be honest, I'd take that every day. And that's pretty much what I work on with my irons. And I would say over the last couple of years, I've become better and better at that. If you're a regular watching my videos, you'll probably say, still not good enough. But the little negative for me is as I've got maybe better with my delivery on my irons, I maybe just struggle a little bit with driver nowadays. So I'm going to set myself up, and I'm really going to feel with driver now that I swing, once I get to the top of my backswing, more out towards the camera, so much more to the right. I know I'll get my low point behind the golf ball, and this should get my path a little bit straighter and help me hit more accurate drives. Okay, so didn't really get my low point where I wanted, but I have to say, swing direction 0, low point 0, and club path 0.1 degrees. Now that is pretty impressive. I'm going to pop those numbers back up and have a good look at those. There's a lot of zeros in there. Almost like watching Great Britain in the Eurovision. So, it was decent, but it wasn't enough to the right. So I'm going to go a little higher with the tee, go back to orange tee. I think I'll find it a little easier to swing to the right. I might even cheat a little bit here and actually just pull that back foot back a little, make it a little bit easier for me to get the club on the inside. So I'm going to swing much more to the right, try and get that low point behind the golf ball. That felt good. Swing direction still a little bit too straight, but it's absolutely a good drive. Now, it's always interesting when I do these videos because it feels like it should be really, really easy for me to do this. And yet, if anything, I'm finding it incredibly difficult to swing enough to the right. So I have one more go. Let's see if I can get my swing direction to the right, get the club traveling up a lot by the ball, and hit that laser straight drive. And there we have it. 4.4 degrees to the right swing direction, 5.6 inches behind, and a club path of 0.3 degrees. So we can see there, guys, fundamentally very different with the direction we're trying to swing the golf club. Even though I'm trying to get the club path to be as straight as possible, I have to feel, if I'm going to do it as well as I can, that my iron swing is more to the left, and that driver swing, most importantly, is more to the right. Right, so hopefully having watched that, maybe you start understanding now where historically you've been very good off the tee and struggled with your irons, or vice versa, always been a great iron player but struggled off the tee. I think it's difficult for a lot of golfers because for years we were told about, try and swing the same with every club in the bag. And I think when the ball's on the floor, absolutely that's great. But once that golf ball's up in the air with driver, and we know nowadays from launch monitors that we want to get the club hitting up on the golf ball and the low point behind, we can't swing the club in the same direction, because the path is going to be so different because the low points are different. So remember, if you're going to be a good iron player, you definitely want to feel that there's an element of swinging left, so that as the low point's ahead of the golf ball, the club's traveling from the inside, and it gives you that nice straight path. I am being presumptuous that you can actually get the club face pointing at target. If you struggle with that, comment below and I'll do a video on club face control. But definitely then with driver, you need to swing much more from the inside, get that low point behind, and as the club travels up to the ball, then it'll be moving nice and straight. I'm sure as I explain that, a lot of you will understand then why you're generally quite good and straight with your irons, because you probably do swing a little out to in. And that's where you really then struggle with driver, because you don't swing enough from the inside. But practice it, really exaggerate it. As you could see with me there, even when I felt with driver, I was swinging more to the right. I wasn't doing it enough until that final one. And yet that actually felt, if I'd have squared my club face up to the direction, I'd have probably hit the camera. Maybe that's why I wasn't quite exaggerated enough to begin with. But remember, swing left with irons, swing right with driver. And if you do that, you're going to hit some of the straightest shots you've ever hit. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you've enjoyed today's content and you don't currently subscribe, please consider clicking the button below. Remember to ring the notification bell, then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.